I want to start this episode with something that took me a long time to understand, because it sounds like a compliment, and it is not. You do not have high standards. You have a very high tolerance for disappointment. You stayed after the inconsistency, after the disappointment became a pattern, after your body already knew something was wrong. You stayed because you saw the good in them, because you believed people deserved patience, because you thought love meant trying harder. And for a long time, you called that having standards. But high standards do not keep negotiating with behavior that hurts them. High standards leave earlier. What you had was not high standards. It was a very high tolerance for emotional disappointment. And if something tightened in your chest hearing that, this episode is for you.
I think one of the most dangerous things a woman can be called is understanding. Because sometimes what people are really praising is her ability to stay calm while slowly being neglected. This episode is not about blaming yourself for staying. It is about finally understanding why you did. Because there is a difference between standards and tolerance. One protects you, the other trains you to survive on less. And when you confuse the two, you can spend years calling endurance self-respect. You can tell a woman has high tolerance by how often she says, "It's okay," when it isn't. How many times she explains behavior that hurt her. How quickly she turns disappointment into empathy. How easily she starts managing situations that should have disqualified someone completely. That is the pattern. Because women with genuinely high standards do not spend months trying to convince themselves to tolerate what already feels wrong. They filter earlier. They trust discomfort faster. They do not keep moving the line. And this is the part that changes everything. High standards operate at the door. High tolerance operates inside the relationship. One decides who gets access. The other decides how much pain gets normalized after access is already given. And a lot of women who think they are selective are actually extremely emotionally adaptable, which sounds healthy, until you realize adaptability is sometimes just self-abandonment in a softer voice. Most high tolerance patterns begin long before dating. They begin in environments where love felt inconsistent, unpredictable, conditional. Where you learned to read moods carefully. Where you learned that keeping the peace mattered more than expressing your needs. Where emotional discomfort became normal. And children adapt to whatever environment they grow up in. That adaptation becomes personality later. So now, as an adult, you call yourself patient, understanding, easygoing. But underneath that is often someone who learned very early that love requires endurance, that closeness requires accommodation, that discomfort is just part of attachment. And because the nervous system confuses familiarity with safety, chaos can feel strangely convincing. Not because it is healthy, because it feels emotionally familiar. This is the part I keep coming back to. Women with high tolerance are not blind. They see the inconsistency. They notice the withdrawal. They feel the imbalance almost immediately. But instead of leaving, they adjust. They become more understanding, more patient, less needy, less expressive, less difficult. Until eventually, they become easier to disappoint. And people praise them for that. They call them mature, low maintenance, wifey material. Meanwhile, she is slowly disconnecting from herself in real time. Because every time you stay past the point your instinct said something was wrong, you teach yourself not to trust your own signals. That is the real damage, not just the relationship. The erosion of self-trust. The slow internalization that your discomfort is negotiable, that your needs are flexible, that your standards are optional once feelings are involved. And the longer this pattern continues, the more emotionally impressive your endurance becomes. which makes it even harder to recognize as a wound.
Here is what real standards actually look like. They are calm, fast, clear. They do not require 10 conversations. They do not require emotional investigations. They do not require months of confusion. A real standard says, this behavior does not work for me, and then acts accordingly. Not because the person is evil, not because nobody deserves grace, but because self-respect is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate without reacting. And what I have noticed about women with genuine standards is that their relationships are often quieter, less chaotic, less emotionally exhausting, because they leave earlier. Not cruelly, not dramatically, just honestly. They trust what they feel the first time instead of the fifth. The work now is not becoming colder. It is becoming more honest with yourself faster. Because your instincts have probably been speaking clearly for years. Your body knew. Your anxiety knew. Your exhaustion knew. Your overthinking was often grief trying to warn you before your mind was ready to accept reality. And rebuilding self-trust starts very small. Saying, that hurt me, earlier. Leaving sooner. Listening to discomfort before it becomes devastation. Trusting yourself before the evidence becomes undeniable. Because the goal is not to become harder. It is to stop abandoning yourself in the name of love.
Your standards were never too high. Your tolerance was. And once you see the difference, you cannot unsee it. So I want to ask you something. What is one thing you tolerated for too long because you kept hoping it would change? Tell me in the comments. Not to shame yourself, to name the pattern. Because once a pattern is named, it can finally be broken. She is growing, and if you are here, so are you.